Alright, so here's the intro of the song. Now this song doesn't really have that many parts to it. The hardest part of this whole entire song is going to be learning the solo section, okay? But really you only have your intro, you have your main riff, which is kind of like the chorus, then you have the verses, and then that's it. Then you have the solo section. So basically this intro has two guitar parts. The first guitar part starts out and then the second guitar part comes in and harmonizes with it. So the first guitar part goes like this. Okay, so that's the first guitar part. Now, the way he does that is it's just, if you're watching this from our website, of course, you have the tabs on the screen. If you're watching this from YouTube, just listen to what I'm saying. Basically, it starts out on the 7th fret of the A string, and it goes 7-5 on the A to the 7 on the E string. Alright, and then it does that same pattern on 5-3-5 on the A and E. And then 3-2-3 on the A and E. Just. Alright, and then it goes 5 on the A, 5 on the D, 5 on the A, then 7 on the A. So you have. Okay, now the second guitar part, the pattern is the exact same thing, only it's harmonizing, so everything's played a third up. Okay, so the second guitar part's starting out on the 9th fret. On the 10th fret. So it's 10, 9, 10. Okay, and then it goes 9, 7, 8. 9, 7 on the A and 8 on the E. And then 7, 5, 7. So you have. And then the last thing is 9 on the A, 9 on the D, 9 on the A, 10 on the A. Okay, so okay, so that's the second guitar part. Now the two of them together sound like this. Let me play the first one. I'll store it on my looper pedal, then I'll play the second one over the top of it so you can hear how they both sound together. Okay, so that's both of them together. That's it for your intro. Now we get on to the main riff. Alright, so here's the main riff of the song. So this riff occurs right after the intro, and it also occurs during the choruses, right after the verse. Each verse, it keeps going back to this main riff. Now, one thing to note is the rhythm that's going on underneath the leads is changed slightly between when it's played in the beginning of the song and when it's played during the choruses. So first let me play how the rhythm goes when it's played in the beginning of the song. It goes like this. So that's the rhythm underneath the leads when it's played during the beginning of the song, right after the intro. Now, it's slightly different during the choruses, okay? And during the choruses it sounds like this. so you see how it changed slightly. It hangs on the D power chord a little bit longer than it does in the beginning. Okay, so it's just something to note. However, that doesn't mean that the leads change. The leads remain constant every time it's played. The only thing that's different is the underlying rhythm. Okay, so if you're wondering, why maybe it sounds slightly different during the choruses than it does in the beginning, that's why, because the underlying rhythm section is changing slightly. Okay, and anyway, before I get into the leads, let me just show you how to play that rhythm real quick. Basically, it starts out on an E power chord, 7th fret. And, the rhythm is down, chicka down, chicka down, chicka down. Alright, and then it goes from a D power chord on the 5th fret to a G power chord on a D string G power chord, then back to the D power chord, then back to the E. And then it goes down to the 3rd fret, C power chord. Okay, and one thing to note about this this D to G, this fast power chord change here, if you want, you can either do power chords, full power chords, or you can just kind of bar the A, G, or the A, D, and G string with your 1st finger, and then put your 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the D string for the D power chord, and then when it's the G power chord, you can kind of leave everything in place and just move your 3rd finger up to the G string, rather than moving your whole hand. You're still doing power chords, okay? It's just, you're still just doing a root and a 5th. When you're doing it this way, it's still a root and a 5th. It's just, it's not the most common way that you usually see power chords played, okay? But it's still a power chord nonetheless. And it just makes the transition easier to go. Rather than trying to move your whole hand. When you try and move your whole hand, you can get sloppy and lose the smoothness of it. So that's just something to point out. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and the difference in the rhythms between the intro and the chorus. Okay, so with that said, let's get on to the leads. Now the leads is two guitar parts that are harmonized with one another, and the higher guitar part is, let me play it first. Okay, so that's the higher guitar part, and the way that's done is 9th fret of the G string, then it goes to the 10th fret of the B string, and then it does a set of 3 triplets, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8. Okay, it's very hard to play this slow. And then to the 7th fret of the high E, and then another set of 3 triplets. It doesn't sound right when you play it slow, but if you're watching this from the website and you have the tabs on the screen, just follow exactly how many it is. It shows you exactly how many each fret occurs at. Okay. Okay. It's very hard to play slow. Just keep that in mind. But it's fast. It sounds like. Okay, so it's just a matter of just kind of playing along with either a metronome or with the track. I have a metronome here, so if you want to hear how it sounds over looped rhythm, it goes like this. this slow than it is to play it fast. Wait, no. It's a lot easier to play it fast than it is to play slow. That's what I meant. So anyway, that's the higher guitar part, okay? So it's, you're just kind of, you're up here in this little E minor. Basically just doing an E minor arpeggio and just kind of playing around with the notes around the E minor arpeggio. Okay, so it's all right in that little area. Just follow the tabs, as they say, if you're watching it from my website. And then the second guitar part now comes in, and it's doing the same rhythm, the same set of the same triplet stuff and all that. Only now it's starting on the 10th fret of the low of the A string, and then 9 on the D string, and then the triplet thing occurs 7 9 7 9 7 9 on the D string. Okay, and then the higher note would be the 7th fret of the G string. Okay, and to complete it goes, and then it's a 9 10 10, and then 9 10 9 10. Okay, so it's the same type of rhythm. It's just, you're playing it's a sixth below, so it's a harmony that's a sixth below what the higher guitar part is doing. So let me play both of these guitar parts for you together. I have the rhythm stored in my loop pedal. I have the rhythm stored in my loop pedal, plus a metronome going. So you can try and fit the triplets in time. And then I also have the higher guitar part stored in my looper pedal as well. So let me play that for you. Okay, so that's the main riff throughout the whole song, both guitar parts. Now, even when it goes back to that during the chorus and the rhythm changes, as I said, even when the rhythm's riding on the D chord, the D power chord, the leads are still remaining the same, okay? So just keep that in mind. It is going to have a slightly different sound, but it's still the same leads and the same rhythmic palm muting. It's just a slightly different chord, as I showed you already. Alright, so with that said, let's get to the verse and then we'll get to the solo. Alright, so now we have our verse, and the verse is pretty much the same chords that we already went over for that are the rhythms of the main riff leads. So I'll just show you that real quick, and then I'm just going to show you how the main riff sounds over the the rhythm when it goes to that D power chord like I was talking about. So anyway, all it is back into the lead, and the lead where it's played over top of the slightly altered rhythm sounds like this. So you see how the rhythm changed to the it was holding on that D chord a little longer, like I was saying. So that's pretty much it. I don't think I need to walk you through it. It's just the, it's the E power chord, the D power chord, the G power chord, where you can play it the way I showed you in the last section, and then the C power chord, played just how I showed you. So that's it. So now we're going to get to the solo section, and that's going to take a little bit of time, but we'll get through it. Alright, so here's the solo section of the song. Alright, so I'm going to break the solo section down into two parts in this video. Reason being is because the first part is one guitar player doing a solo, and then the second half is the other guitar player comes in and he does the second half of the solo. Okay, now the first half of the solo is in the key of E minor, and the second half of the solo is in the key of A minor, so it's actually a key change when the second half of the solo comes in. Alright, so the way I'm going to teach this is I'm going to walk you through phrase by phrase, but the important thing is I'm going to be using my looper pedal to play what the rhythm is playing with a metronome going on in 4x4 time signature. That way you can get your phrasing down. So I'm going to do my best to describe exactly what I'm doing. So if you're watching this from YouTube, just listen closely and kind of just follow what I'm doing. If you're watching this from my website, you have the tabs on the screen. So, just kind of follow what the tabs are saying. The tabs accurately depict exactly what I'm doing. It's a lot easier to just simply demonstrate each phrase than it is to say each note, okay? So, just kind of listen to how it fits in with the rhythm, and just follow the tabs if you're watching this from my website. So with that said, the actual tempo of the song is about 160 to 165. I'm going to teach it at about 100. That way you can pick out where these phrases start, where they end, and how they fit into the 4/4 time signature. Okay, so with that said, the solo starts out. First, let me play the rhythm for you. The rhythm is. I'll play it up to speed. The speed's actually. Okay, so it's just E power chord, D power chord, B power chord, and C power chord. So it goes through that progression 4 times until it changes keys. So that is the rhythm. Now the lead starts out on the 15th fret B string bend. Okay, so it bends 3 times, and then it releases, then does a quick 12, and then back to the 15, all on the B string. Okay, then it comes down to the 12 on the B, and then it does a full step bend on the 15 of the E string. Okay, and now it does a set of two triplets and then a third sort of triplet, and I'll get to that in a second. Alright, so after it does this bend, it goes. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, so after it comes down from that bend, it goes 15 12 on the E, then to the 15 of the G, and that's your first triplet. So keep in mind it's a string skip there. And then 14 12 of the G to the 14 of the D. Okay, and then it does a third sort of triplet, but it sounds more like a slide in the actual song. So you could either do 12, 10, 9 on the D, or just kind of go from 12 to 9 and then hit the 9 twice. Or you can go. But it's played so fast that it sounds just like he's going. Okay, once up to actual speed. So let me play this over the looped rhythm for you now, so you can hear what this sounds like. Okay, so that's the first round of the chord progression, okay? from the E, D, B, C, okay? So that's one round. We still have 3 more to go until it switches keys. Alright, so after that, now it does a series of these pentatonic licks, which is just a bend on the 14 of the G string to a 12-15 on the B. Alright, now it does it, I think it's 7 or 8 times, and then it speeds up for another 4 or 5 times. And the only way that I can be 100% correct about that is to play it over the rhythm, okay? So it goes. Alright, that's how it starts out, and then it goes, and it speeds up to a faster tempo. So let me do that over the rhythm for you. Okay, so you see how it speeds up there? Okay, one more thing to keep in mind as well is that initial bend of the 14th fret on the G string, it holds that before the phrase actually starts. So it goes. Okay, so there's a bend and hold, and then it starts doing it. And the best way to get your timing down for that will be to just listen to how I'm fitting this over the rhythm with the metronome going on. So that would be like this. Okay, one more time. Okay, so you see how there's that bend and hold, and then it kind of kicks in. So I always recommend practicing over a metronome, and I always recommend practicing at slower tempos like this to get your phrasing down correctly, and then slowly build up your speed. Okay, because you can kind of fake your way through things at fast speeds, but if you break it down, your phrasing's going to be sloppy, and you're not really going to know exactly what you're doing. You're just kind of be whatever, moving your fingers, and it's not going to be in any sort of time. So practice to a metronome, practice at a slower speed, get your phrasing down. Okay, so now this phrase ends on a okay, so that's a 14th fret bend on the G string to a 12th fret of the G string, 14 on the D, double hit, and then a 12 on the D. So you have. Okay, so let me see how much time I have. All right. Now, after you do all that, it comes up to a 17 on the B, and it holds for a little bit. Again, practice to the metronome so you can feel exactly where this fits in, but it goes. Okay, so that is 17 on the B, and you're 15, 17, and 9 on the E. Follow what the tabs are saying to do, or just watch closely or listen to how I'm doing this. Okay, see how I'm doing that? So that's that, and it does that for, I don't know exactly how many times. You just kind of gotta listen and fit it in, and I'll be playing the solo several times for you at the speed, so you'll get it down. So anyway, up to here we have this. so we didn't get to that yet, but that's how many times it does that. So you hold on that 17, and then you start doing the phrase, okay? Like I said, it's a lot easier to just demonstrate than it is to explain exactly what I'm doing, okay? So just watch closely. So now after it does that, the amount of times that it does it, it ends the phrase. The last one is a 17 on the B to a 15 on the E to a 20th fret of the high E, full step bend, and it bends, I think, like 8 times until it does a release. Okay, so let me just show you that. Okay, so you just want to keep bending until you feel that it's time to make the change, okay? And the best way would be to just watch what I'm doing over the rhythm. So it's... Okay, so it's doing, it's on the 20, 19, and 17 of the E and B string, and it's going... It's ending that phrase on the 17th fret of the B string. Alright, so let me play up to there so far. So it ends on that 17th fret of the B string. Alright, so now this whole solo ends with this phrase. Alright, so that's all right in the pentatonic, the E minor pentatonic area, right in the 12th to 15th fret range. So it's 14, 12, 12 on the G, B, and E. You can even do a little bend on the 14 if you want. It's so fast that it's not really going to make a huge difference. And then a 15th fret, 15th fret of the B, and then 12 on the E, 15, 12, 15, 12, and then a pre-bend release of the 15th of the B. And then 14, 12, 14, then 14. Like I said, it's a lot easier to just play it slowly and just, watch the tabs or look at the tabs to see what I'm doing, okay? So it's... That's the end of the solo part. Okay, so the whole thing is... So that's the whole solo. Now, one thing to note is that there is a little harmony that comes in during the part where he's bending on the 20. All that stuff right there, the bend on the 20 to that phrase, is harmonized with a 14th fret bend Okay, so 14th fret, half step bend, not a whole step, half step. Okay, and then when it comes in to do this, it's going. Alright, so that's 12, 14 on the E, 12, 14 on the E, 15 on the B to the 12 on the E, then 13 on the B, 15 on the B, 12 on the B, 13 on the B, and then it ends on the 14 of the G. Okay, so those two play together to harmonize with one another. Okay, so that's the whole first solo. All right, so on to the second part. All right, so here's the second half of the solo. All right, so this is where the second guitar player comes in, and this is where the key changes. All right, so the key changes to the key of A minor now. So the rhythm is the same, except it's now in the key of A minor. So the chords are an A power chord, a G power chord, an E power chord, an F power chord, and then back to the G. So it goes. Okay, it does that 4 times. All right, now so since this is all in the key of A minor, there's going to be a lot of A minor pentatonic licks and blues licks and whatnot. All right, so this starts out with a quick little 5/8 on the B string. All right, so that's leading in right before the 1. So, and then as soon as you do that, then the beat starts, the 1 starts. All right, and now it's a series of hammer pulls. Okay, so it's 8/5, 8/5, 8/5, 8/5. It does that 4 times. And then 8/5, 8/5, 8/5, 8/5 on the B as well. Okay, so doing that with the looping pedal, it goes. Alright, so that initial little lead in starts before the 1. So you do that, and then the 1 starts. Okay, so you have that so far. And then he bends on the 7th fret, full step bend on the 7th fret of the G string. And he holds that for 3 counts, okay? And this little blues lick that he does, it's all 8th notes, and it starts on the upbeat of the 3. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, and as soon as you hear the end of the 3, that's when it does this little lick. Okay, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so you hold that. It's a lot easier to demonstrate it with the looping pedal. But let me show you the lick first, and then I'll demonstrate it with the rhythm behind it. So it's 7/6/5 on the G string. And then it goes to the 7 of the D string, and then 6/5 of the G, and then 7 on the D string, and then 5/4 of the A string, and then 8/5 of the E string. So it's 1 and 2 and 3. Alright, so demonstrated with the looping pedal, it goes. Okay, one more time. Okay, so it's real important that you start that blues lick on the 1 and 2 and 3 end, okay? So that's that, and then it does a series of hammer pulls up in this area now. So it goes, it's a 9 and 11 on the G string, and then a 10 and 12 on the B string. So it's keep in mind that the first 9/11 starts right before the 1 again. You know, right before the 1 beat. So again, it's just easier to just play it and just watch what I'm doing. So let me just do the whole thing. So it's. Okay. So it's. Okay, so it starts just before the 1. Okay, so it's, if you have the tabs, it's much easier to follow along with what I'm doing. Okay, so if you're watching this from the website, just watch what the tabs are doing. If you're on YouTube, I'm doing my best to describe this because it's very feel. You know, you just got to feel it where these things come in. Okay, so it's. Okay, so it's 9/11 on the G string, and then it's 10/12 on the B string, then a quick 9/11, and then 10/12, 10/12, and then 13/12, 13/12, and then it comes down to the 14 of the G, and then there's a full step bend on the 15 of the B. So it's. Okay, one more time. Okay, so that's the timing for that. And now, after it does that bend on the 15, it goes. So it's 15, 15, bend 15, 15, 15, then down to the 13 of the B, and then land on the 15. So it's. Alright, and then it does a series of 12, 15 hammer pulls on the high E string. Okay, so starting from here. Okay, so it's just easier to watch. And then it goes 15, 13, 15, 13, 12, 13, 12. I'm sorry, it ends on the 13. It's a lot easier to just play. Okay, and then after it does that, it comes down to the 12 of the B string, and then hammers on the 10 and 12 of the E string. Alright, so let me get to there now. Alright, and it ends this with a bend of the 13th fret of the B string. And then it comes down and bends on the 9th fret of the G string, and it's a 1.5 step bend. So he's bending all the way up to the note here. Okay, so. So that's the timing for it. Alright, now it holds that bend. It holds that bend all the way until back at once you're at the 1 again, okay? And then at that point it slides up to the 19th fret of the G string. Alright, and it holds that for 2 beats, and then so it's 1 and 2 and then once you're at the 3, it goes 19, 12, 17 all on the G. Alright, and then we'll do the last part of it. So let me get to there. that's fit in there. It holds that 19, and then it goes, and then it ends with this series of bends. So, okay, so that last part after it goes, so it's this is all right in the A minor pentatonic scale right here. All right, so these are probably licks and fills that you're probably used to. So it's bend on the 19 down to the 17 of the G. All right, and then you bend on the 20th of the B, and then come down, and then hit the 17th. So it's all right, and then you do a bend of the 20th on the high E, and then hit the 17 of the high E, and then back down to this 20 of the B. So it's all right, and then it ends by doing a 20th fret bend on the high E, and then 20, 19, 17. And then the last thing is a 20th, a bend of the 20th fret of the B string, and then you're pre-bend releasing on the 19th fret of the G. Alright, and then it ends the whole thing with 17, 17, 19 of the G to the D. As I said, it's very hard to explain note by note, but if you have the tabs in front of you, if you're watching it from the website, it's a lot simpler. Or it's a lot simpler to just follow what I'm doing. So let me just play this whole thing. Just goes back into the main riff. Alright, so that is the whole song. That is, both solo parts, entire song, in the order that the song goes. If I left anything out, if I missed anything, feel free to hit me up, comment, ask, send a personal message, whatever. But that's the entire song, so thanks for watching.